The following video was recorded by a woman whose house was struck by lightning, and what started as a terrifying but explainable night turned into something she still can't account for. She'd been asleep when it happened, the kind of dead sleep where your whole body shuts off, and the strike came without warning. Watch.
Hear the dogs okay?
A blinding white flash tears through the room, the crack and bang of the impact hitting simultaneously, and seconds later, an alarm screams to life before cutting off just as suddenly. She sits up in bed, visibly shaken, and the first thing out of her mouth once the room goes quiet is asking whether her dogs are okay. That detail matters, because the dogs become a thread running through everything that follows. The house lost half its power in the strike, and what you'd expect next is a long, stressful night of waiting for the all clear. What actually happened was stranger than that. By the time firefighters arrived to inspect the damage, the scene inside had taken on a different quality entirely. The smoke hanging in the air, the low artificial lighting, the dogs somewhere out of frame, all of it was caught on the same security camera system. Watch closely.
I didn't even know. House. No, we were inside. We were there. Yeah. Then there was a boom. House shook. I thought it was like one tower. You go up. Number 4. That's what I mean, we've had like city blackouts, but neighbors still have towers, so situation. And you have a breaker inside the house? Yeah, we have one. Well, let's just give it a check. It's in that back corner. That's possible. Yeah. Yes, right there? Yeah, it's in that corner. Alright. Yeah, never really opened up before. Breaker looks good over here. Okay. We'll check out the one on the outside as well. Okay. Do you think it's the outside one that's listed? Oh, let's take a look. It should be a problem. Alright. Then, should we just leave it off? Probably. I'm gonna check the inside of the house, okay? Alright. My boss, I got to check on it. Okay.
You can hear the firefighters talking through the power outage, calm, controlled, completely professional, but pay attention to this one firefighter. He keeps glancing back at the couch over and over like someone's sitting there, except there's no one there. And then look at the candles. 2 of them suddenly go out. No draft, no movement, nothing that explains it. Then as one of the firefighters moves through the living room, working near that same couch, the security camera captures something no one in the room seems to notice. But here's the thing. It's what she found when she went back through the security footage later that changed the tone of this entire night. She was reviewing the playback, adjusting the brightness on her phone, and she directed attention to one specific corner of the room right at the moment of the lightning flash. Listen closely.
Maybe if I turn like the brightness down. Oh, no, that's zoom. Okay. So watch in this right corner. Right when the lightning strikes. There. What is that? What is that? What is that?
During the fraction of a second that the room goes completely white from the strike, a small, dark figure is visible on the floor in the lower right corner, crouched low, close to the ground, solid black against the blinding overexposure. And then the image returns to the normal night vision view of an empty room. Her reaction goes from calm instruction to pure alarm in an instant. There, what is that? Some viewers think it's a camera sensor artifact caused by the electrical surge from the strike, a digital glitch born from the power fluctuation rather than anything physical. Others are less convinced, pointing to the figure's defined, non-geometric shape as something that argues against a simple sensor error. A few in the comments reached for the crawler label, a term used in online paranormal communities to describe pale or dark humanoid figures reportedly seen close to the ground, often in isolated or low-lit environments. Skeptics would say the image is too degraded and too brief to draw any real conclusion, and that may be true, but the flash lasted a fraction of a second. The shape was there, and whatever the dogs were reacting to all night, before the firefighters arrived, during their inspection, after that popping sound, it came from somewhere inside that house. So what exactly did the lightning reveal? Whatever that figure was, it was only visible because the strike lit the room up completely, and you have to wonder what else might have been there on all the other nights, in all the other dark corners that the camera simply wasn't bright enough to catch. Now in this next clip, someone is moving through what appears to be a darkened home at night, phone in hand, clearly already on edge. The breathing alone tells you that much before anything unusual even happens. A female voice calls out "amor" at the very start, the Spanish word for love, and then the shuffling begins. The person filming slowly works their way down from a staircase, panning across a room with reddish-brown tiled floors, a white door lined with multiple locks, and a heavy dark green curtain hanging to the left. Something about that curtain pulls the camera's attention. Watch. At the bottom edge of the curtain, two small, pale, bare feet are visible, motionless, as if whoever's standing there doesn't want to be found. The person filming whispers what sounds like, "Ay, Dios mío, oh my God," their breathing breaking into something between hyperventilation and suppressed sobbing. When they rush toward the curtain, the feet are gone, just empty space where a child-sized figure had been standing seconds before. Some viewers think it's exactly what it looks like, a child hiding, perfectly still, who slipped away in the chaos of the rush forward. Others aren't so sure, pointing to how quickly the feet vanished and how there's no sound of movement, no footsteps, nothing. If you focus on the bottom of the curtain in the moments before the rush, you'll notice the feet don't shift at all, not even slightly. So where did they go? The following set of clips comes from what appears to be a string of overnight security footage. Different cameras, different nights, but the same creeping feeling that something uninvited is moving through these spaces after dark. In the first clip, someone set up a phone running a camera app above their mirror, hoping to catch whatever had been unsettling them at home. The footage is silent throughout, so everything that happens, you read from the image alone. For a while, the hallway stays still, just a slightly open white door and the grainy green tint of night vision. Watch. That door swings slowly and smoothly shut with no one near it. No gust of air, no obvious cause. And then whoever was holding the camera leaves. They wrote it themselves. I got scared and left. What follows is them coming back with a handheld phone light, moving cautiously down the same hallway toward that bathroom door, which is now ajar again. Some viewers think a door closing on its own is easy enough to explain. A pressure differential, a draft from a vent, the house settling. Skeptics will point out the heavy editing, the multiple camera cuts, the text overlays, but it's hard to watch that door move with that kind of slow, deliberate smoothness and feel entirely comfortable with the draft theory. The second clip shifts to a different property and a different camera, a UFI security unit mounted on an outdoor porch, timestamped just after 5 a.m. on September 24th of 2023. No one is home, or at least no one is visible. Watch. What the infrared picks up is a translucent, wispy shape hanging in the foreground, shifting and undulating slightly, fibrous, almost web-like, moving as if caught in a faint breeze. The honest answer here is that this is almost certainly a spider web, sitting directly in front of the lens, lit up by the camera's own infrared LEDs. That combination makes ordinary silk look genuinely ethereal. But people online have flagged clips exactly like this one as evidence of ectoplasm, or what some older traditions describe as the visible residue of a spirit in motion, a kind of physical trace left behind when something passes through a space. It's not a widely documented phenomenon in any serious sense, but the image is striking enough that it's easy to see why the association gets made. Then there's the third clip. This one was recorded at 3:43 a.m. on October the 9th of 2023 from what looks like a balcony or patio security camera, looking down over a grassy walkway and a parking lot. Halloween decorations are scattered in the yard, a small metal skeleton near the railing, and then this happened. Watch. A strange figure materializes on the walkway below and moves quickly, This fits what many people describe as a residual haunting, a spirit or imprint that isn't reacting to its surroundings, just replaying a path it's traveled before. Indifferent to the camera, indifferent to whoever's watching. The timing across all three clips, 3 a.m., 5 a.m., the middle of the night, lines up with what paranormal communities often call the witching hour window, a period associated with heightened activity. Whether that means anything or whether it's just when security cameras happen to catch things no one's awake to explain, I'll leave that up to you to decide. This next clip was recorded at night inside what appears to be a dark living room. No main lights on, just the kind of heavy darkness that makes your eyes work harder than they should. A woman is filming her pet, a small animal named Sasuke, who seems completely locked onto something on or near the couch. She calls his name softly, clearly curious about what's caught his attention. Then she asks him directly, "What are you looking at?" Watch.
Sasuke.
Almost immediately, a dark figure appears to move near the couch. The movement is brief, but noticeable enough that many viewers replayed the footage multiple times to make sure they had seen it correctly. What makes the clip unsettling is Sasuke's behavior before the movement occurs. Animals are often featured in paranormal stories because they sometimes appear to react to things long before people notice them. In many accounts, pets are described as staring into empty spaces, tracking unseen movement, or refusing to approach certain areas of a home. Some paranormal traditions even suggest that animals are more sensitive to spiritual presences, capable of noticing things that remain invisible to human eyes. Whether that's true or not, Sasuke's attention never seems to waver from the same location. Then the figure moves. For some viewers, it's just a shadow shifting in a dark room. For others, the timing is what makes the footage difficult to ignore. The animal appears to notice something first, and only moments later does the camera capture movement in the exact area where he had been staring all along. So whatever was near that couch, it was enough to keep Sasuke's attention long before anyone else noticed it. The following video was captured by a man who had already grown used to being woken up in the middle of the night by things he couldn't explain, to the point where it had become a routine, something he no longer questioned immediately, but instead documented, almost as if he knew that whatever was happening would eventually show itself on camera. Before this night, he had been dealing with faint knocks at odd hours, objects shifting slightly out of place, and moments where he would wake up feeling like someone had just been standing over him, watching, only for the room to be completely empty when he fully opened his eyes. Over time, it became harder to ignore, especially when he started hearing low sounds at night, scratching, dragging, and at times something that almost resembled breathing, close enough to feel real, but never visible long enough to confirm. So when it happened again that night, when a loud sound suddenly pulled him out of sleep, he reached for his phone, hoping to finally catch something clear enough to explain it all. What he captured instead only made things worse. Watch. The door creaks open first, slow and deliberate, with no one near it. Then a small black creature lunges onto the bed directly at him, letting out a shriek that doesn't sound like anything domestic, followed by a deep growl. Many would immediately label something like this as a demonic presence, and in many reported cases, it's said that when something like this begins to feel comfortable within a space, when it's no longer hiding or limiting itself to small signs, it can escalate even further. sometimes attempting to influence or even possess the person living there. In this next clip, a man in Chihuahua, Mexico, had been running a studio space he'd been using for work. A cluttered, horror-decorated room filled with vintage masks, a porcelain doll, and a large, ornate mirror. He'd already lost a week's worth of security footage because the cloud trial on his camera system expired before he could save anything locally. Then, on a Tuesday night, while he was away recovering from an eye injury, his security camera triggered a movement alert at 9:10 p.m. He ignored it at first. It wasn't until Thursday that he finally came back to check, and that's when things got harder to dismiss. Watch. The security camera, the kind set to tracking mode, begins panning slowly across the empty room on its own, as if following something invisible. Then, a door that was slightly ajar in the background swings fully shut with deliberate, unhurried force. The doll by your right also moved without anyone in sight touching it. When the man arrives with his handheld camera that same night, he walks to a corner of the floor near the desk, a floor he says he'd left spotless, and points the light downward. Have a look.
Fijé un poco. Yo había dejado limpia. Y hay unas huellas ahí. Esos días hizo bastante frío, hizo mucho frío. Bueno, para que alguien anduviera descalzo, lo dudo mucho. Para la gente de aquí de Chihuahua sabe que no se puede andar uno descalzo en la calle. Y luego miren. Yo calzo del 9. Ese pie es enorme, está muy grande. No es mi pie. O sea, la verdad sí está muy grande el pie. Y le digo, ¿oí pasos?
A large, dirty, barefoot print on the floor. He holds his own shoe next to it for comparison. He wears a size 9, and the print is noticeably bigger, both in length and width. There was no sign of forced entry, so from that point on, the debate around what's causing all of this only intensified. Some people are convinced the activity is tied to a large mirror he brought into the studio. According to him, the strange occurrences began almost immediately after the mirror arrived. In paranormal belief, mirrors are often considered portals, reflective surfaces believed to thin the boundary between spaces. Many cultures warn that mirrors can act as gateways, allowing entities to observe, attach, or even pass through. If that's the case here, it could explain the sense of being watched, the movement being tracked, and the idea that something is present without fully manifesting. But others believe the mirror isn't the source, it's the doll. Dolls act as vessels, not necessarily haunted at first, but capable of housing or attracting a presence over time. The fact that the doll moves during the footage and that disturbances seem more physical, doors slamming, objects shifting, leads many to think the doll is what's anchoring whatever is inside that studio. And then there are those who think it isn't one or the other, but both. Some believe the mirror may have opened the door, and the doll became the place where whatever came through decided to stay. Until more updates are shared, this remains unsolved. Now in this next clip, a couple decides to do something many people would strongly advise against. Sitting together in a darkened room, candles flickering around them as they place their hands on a Ouija board and ask whatever might be listening to make itself known. Watch. Before this moment, they had already experienced strange activity in their old apartment, which was located right next to a hospital, a detail that, for many people, immediately raises questions, because places like that are often associated with intense emotional energy, loss, and unresolved moments that some believe can linger. They reported hearing unexplained sounds, feeling watched, and noticing subtle disturbances they couldn't explain, which led them to wonder if something might have attached itself to them. So when they moved into their new place, instead of leaving it behind, they made a decision that would change everything, using the Ouija board to find out if whatever they had experienced before had followed them into this new home. Watch.
Anybody there? Is anybody there? Can you give us a sign? Can you give us a sign? My God. Oh my God. There's no way. There's no way. Dude, there's nobody in here. There's nobody in here. What is going on? Oh.
Some viewers believe this confirms their fear, that something from their old apartment may have stayed with them, something that didn't leave when they moved. But others argue something far more unsettling, that it wasn't about something following them at all, but about what they may have invited in at that exact moment by choosing to use the board. And that's where the situation takes a more serious turn. Because people familiar with how these sessions are traditionally handled were quick to point out a critical mistake, something that might seem small but carries heavy implications in paranormal belief. The fact that they removed their hands from the planchette without properly closing the session or saying goodbye. According to those beliefs, that final step isn't optional. It's meant to close whatever line of communication has been opened. By skipping it, many believe they didn't just stop the session, they left it unfinished, leaving what some describe as an open doorway, something that doesn't simply close on its own. On another day, they decided to do it again.
Is anybody there? Is anybody there? No.
So we have to get out. We have to get out.
Moments like this are often used as examples when people talk about the risks tied to using a Ouija board, not because of what is guaranteed to happen, but because of what can happen when boundaries aren't understood or respected. The idea isn't just that something might respond, but that once that line is opened, it may not always be clear what exactly is responding, or whether it intends to leave when you're done. And that's the part many people overlook, because it's not always about whether something followed them from before. Sometimes it's about what they may have invited in, without fully understanding how to send it back. This next video was recorded by a man who has been documenting what he describes as an increasingly aggressive haunting inside his home. And by the time this footage begins, he's already terrified before he even reaches the bottom of the stairs. It started with smaller disturbances, noises in the night, his dog refusing to behave normally downstairs, a growing sense that whatever was in the house was no longer passive. He blames the spirits for recent bad luck in his life, including a car accident, and on this particular night, he grabs his phone and heads downstairs because something has set his dog off again. Watch.
Nouvelle vidéo, on entend du bruit, mon chien s'est énervé d'un coup. Devient catastrophique. Les esprits deviennent agressifs. Oui, j'arrive aussi. Et puis à ceux qui me portent la poisse, là, il y a 2 jours, les gendarmes m'ont rentré dans la voiture. Elle était devant chez moi, mais la voiture est épave. Beaucoup de chance. Beaucoup de chance. Et l'excuse, c'est le keuf avait une poussière dans l'œil. Vous y croyez, vous? Ben, moi, malheureusement. Oh, putain, c'est quoi ce bordel encore, putain. Ça fait que ça, c'est incroyable. On essaie de trouver des solutions, mais rien qui marche. Cherche, mon chien, cherche. Il y a quelque chose? Oh, putain. Ça devient bizarre. What the... Ouais. Putain, ça m'a piqué. Ah. Putain, c'est quoi ça? Mais c'est quoi ce délire? C'est quoi ce délire, putain de merde? Oh là là là. Putain, c'est quoi ce délire? Putain de merde. Ça devient n'importe quoi ce baraque. Si vous avez des idées, des conseils. Ah, des idées, des conseils, je suis preneur. Honnêtement, ça. Oh putain, c'était quoi ça? Oh fuck off. Oh sa mère. C'était quoi ça, putain? C'était quoi cette merde? Si. Ah, putain. Ah, si. Qu'est-ce qui t'arrive? Non. Non. Mais non. C'est quoi ce délire? Mais c'est quoi ce délire, putain de ça? C'est quoi ce voix de sa mère? Putain. Sa mère.
He claims to feel fingers pressing along his spine, then shouts out in pain as the camera lurches violently, as if something struck him. Then it got worse. The television switches on by itself, blasting loud, dramatic music into the dark room, and his dog stands near the glass door, with her tail tucked, too frightened to move. He uses the remote to shut it off, but within minutes it turns back on, this time changing channels and raising its own volume, while the remote sits on the floor in front of it. Some viewers immediately pointed to poltergeist activity, a term used to describe a type of disturbance associated with physical force and object manipulation rather than a simple haunting. But the man's response to all of this is what makes the second clip even more unsettling, because rather than leave, he keeps confronting it. Watch.
Prochaine vidéo, j'ai décidé de me battre contre cette chose malveillante.
Horrible. Ça fait un moment que j'ai pas fait de vidéo, mais là ça empire. De jour en jour. Des marques, des griffes. C'est insupportable. Putain. Ah, c'est toi qui me fais peur. Alors, il y a quelqu'un? Putain, c'est insupportable. Putain. Putain, c'est quoi cette merde encore? Non, mais c'est pas possible.
He descends the same staircase again, speaking in a tense, hushed voice, saying things are getting worse day by day. Marks, scratches, unbearable. His dog startles him in the dark. Then a loud bang erupts from somewhere off camera. The camera whips sideways, and from inside a closed toy chest, a child's musical melody begins playing on its own. He opens the lid. The music cuts off the moment he slams it shut. For some viewers, a toy activating inside a sealed chest with no one near it lands differently than anything electronic. It feels deliberate, like something announcing itself. And if that's true, the question isn't whether it's still down there, it's whether it ever planned to stop. Now in this next clip, a man is riding his motorcycle alone down a dark, isolated road at night, heading to a wedding, when something on the roadside stops him cold. At that hour, there's usually nothing to see except the road ahead, so when something appears in the distance, it immediately stands out. Watch.
और यार भयंकर वाली Fuck, man. Oh, fuck, basket. Oh, shit. Oh, shit, man. Oh, shit, man. Oh.
As his headlight stretches forward, it catches the outline of a figure walking along the road, tall, pale, and unnaturally still in the way it carries itself, not reacting to the approaching motorcycle, not stepping aside, just continuing forward, like it doesn't even acknowledge him being there. And that's where it starts to feel wrong. Some viewers believe what he encountered could have been a ghost, the kind often described in roadside sightings, figures that appear briefly, usually at night, sometimes tied to past accidents or tragedies, known to show up without warning and disappear just as quickly, leaving the person who saw them questioning what they just experienced. So if you were riding down that same road, alone, and that figure appeared in your headlights, would you slow down and try to understand what you're looking at? Or would you keep going and not look back? Now, in this next video, a man claims that every single night when he returns to his home, something is already there waiting for him, and he decides to prove it. The building itself looks abandoned in stretches, a barrack-style structure at the end of a dark gravel path, lit only by a single street lamp overhead. One night, he hears footsteps like someone running around the house. Shortly after, this happens.
So I'm gonna set up my camera here. Watch down the hallway.
Some viewers believe this kind of activity points directly to a poltergeist, but until more updates are shared, this remains unsolved. The following video was recorded inside a small frozen yogurt shop sometime after closing by a man who'd been dealing with unexplained activity in the building for a while. Flickering lights, strange sounds, the kind of persistent low-level strangeness that you can almost convince yourself to ignore until you can't anymore. On this particular night, he and a woman he works with were still inside after hours trying to retrieve her keys from the back room, and he decided to pull his phone out and film what was happening. He mentions, almost in disbelief, that the lights had already started flickering again, and this wasn't the first time.
Okay guys, we were literally just about to leave my store when shit just started flickering again. This is the second time it's happened. My car's over there, and...
I'm shaking right now.
Okay, and her keys are in the back.
We need to go. We need to go get my keys.
And the light turned on.
I don't want to go.
Okay, well, I'm gonna literally record this whole thing just so you guys can see what happened. I'm literally so scared. Okay, okay, something... The bathroom light's on too.
It's like, bro, why are my keys on the floor? They were not there. Like, I deadass put them on the desk. Like, oh my god. What the hell?
This is literally insane.
The crash erupts out of nowhere from somewhere deeper in the building. No visible source, no explanation, and what follows is pure chaos. Both of them sprinting toward the back office in a full panic. But then they find her keys lying on the floor. She's insistent that she left them on the desk, and the man confirms he didn't see them there either. That alone is unsettling. Displaced objects are one of the most commonly reported signs of poltergeist-type activity. The kind of presence that doesn't just make noise, but physically interacts with the environment, moving things deliberately, as if to be noticed. Then, it got worse. The second clip picks up shortly after, with the two of them still inside, watching the security monitors in the back office while the cameras around the store continue to flicker. They decide they need to leave. They're already nearly an hour past closing, and as they make their way toward the exit, something comes flying out of the darkness right past the camera. Watch.
Okay guys, we've been sitting in the back for like 20 minutes now, and we're just watching the cameras and stuff is still flickering and going on, but nothing happened back here, and we need to go home, and this is so freaking terrifying.
We're 50 minutes past our shift because of this shit.
We closed at 10, so we need to like, it's so dark because all the light switches are over here.
Stop it, stop it. Oh, fuck.
Okay, this is what I mean. This room is over. This is...
Oh my god.
This is what we're dealing with.
Oh my god, yo, what the bro, Nick, did you this on purpose? No, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, Nick.
Stop! You're literally... Are you...
No, wait, no. Nah.
No. We literally looked away for like 2 seconds.
You can see it cut through the frame before clattering off screen, and both of them bolt straight for the door. The nervous laughter outside is the kind that comes when you're too shaken to process what just happened any other way. But the most unsettling detail comes when he turns the camera back through the glass front door. 2 metal chairs that were upright moments earlier are now tipped over on the floor, and neither of them touched them. He says he only looked away for a few seconds. Poltergeist cases like this one tend to follow a pattern where the activity doesn't just repeat, it escalates, becoming more physical and more direct over time, as though whatever is present is testing how much it can do before someone finally leaves. He says he's planning to do an overnight stay to try to make contact. What do you think will happen if he does? This next video was recorded inside a family home using 2 mounted security cameras, one in a bedroom, one in the dining room, and the footage spans 2 separate dates in February of 2026, both captured in the early hours of the morning. In the bedroom clip, recorded just after 2 a.m., an older woman, a younger woman, and a child are all asleep, completely still. Nothing in the room is moving. Listen closely. A quiet, disembodied male-sounding voice is heard whispering a name, Naneng, into a room where everyone is asleep. Then in the dining room, footage recorded just after 5 a.m., the same kind of voice speaks again in an empty room, saying the name Len, seconds before a teenage girl walks out of a hallway door on her own. And back in the bedroom, at the exact same timestamp, the voice speaks once more, this time with what sounds like a questioning inflection, calling out while the entire family remains completely unconscious. So if you listen carefully, something is calling their names, and not one of them heard it. Now in this next clip, a man is walking through a large concrete drainage tunnel, the kind covered in graffiti, with a shallow stream running along the floor, when something in the darkness ahead stops him cold. He'd gone in alone, recording on his phone, moving through the echoing pipe with nothing but the ambient glow of his camera lighting the way. The tunnel stretched ahead of him, dark and narrow, and for a moment everything seemed quiet. Then, at around the 15-second mark, a sharp metallic clicking sound echoes out from somewhere deep in the darkness. He stops walking. He calls out, "Watch."
What the hell? Hello?
What answers him back isn't a person. A low, guttural sound, somewhere between a growl and a distorted whisper, rolls back through the tunnel in response to his voice. And then, as his eyes adjust to the darkness, you can make out the shape standing at the far end. Tall, impossibly thin, 2 points of white light where the eyes should be. The enhanced replay at the end makes it even harder to dismiss. The figure's limbs are long and spindly, its skin pale and gaunt, and it stands completely motionless right up until the moment it lunges and lets out a sustained, piercing shriek that sounds nothing like a human being. He runs. A lot of viewers immediately called it a crawler, a modern internet label for pale, thin, humanoid figures, reported in isolated tunnels and underground spaces, usually described by their unnatural proportions and the way they move. Others think the glowing eyes point to something else entirely, something that doesn't fit neatly into any category. Skeptics argue it could be a person with a torch, but that explanation gets harder to hold onto when you hear what came out of that tunnel. So what exactly was standing in the dark, waiting? The following video was recorded inside a 1920s home during the daytime, which, honestly, makes it harder to dismiss than most. The man filming had been upstairs watching TV when he heard a banging sound coming from the living room below. He says there's nobody else in the house. As he makes his way down the stairs and through the hallway, past taxidermy, Venetian masks, old framed pictures, and a crucifix on the wall, he mentions that some of his haunted objects from a previous home are now kept here, though nothing has ever happened with them. He calls out into the empty rooms, no response, just the steady ticking of a grandfather clock and the feeling that something is waiting. Watch.
It's banging in the living room. There's nobody else in the house. I've just been upstairs watching TV. Some of my old haunted objects from the old house are in here, but nothing's ever happened. Hello? Hello? Oh! Whoa! Shit. Oh my god. What? What the hell? Whoa, I'm not staying in there. Oh my god. Oh, it's even colder in here. What is that noise? Hello? Oh my god. Well, it looks like my objects are back at it again, doesn't it? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? I am getting out of here. What the hell?
Two events hit almost back to back. A taxidermy bird on the fireplace mantel flaps its wings suddenly, then the door slams shut on its own with a heavy metallic crash. Then in the dining room, a chair is violently thrown backward across the floor. He screams. He's done. If you look at how quickly these events escalate, bird, door, chair, all within about a minute, it fits a pattern that paranormal researchers often describe as poltergeist behavior, where physical objects are moved or thrown with what seems like deliberate, escalating force. The term poltergeist comes from the German for noisy ghost, and what makes these cases distinct is the physical aggression, not just shadows or sounds, but objects acting against gravity. Skeptics will say the taxidermy bird could be mechanical, that the door and chair could be rigged, but his reaction, the shaky hands, the swearing, the decision to just leave, that's difficult to fake convincingly. He even notes a second chair had shifted by the time he looked back. So what set it all off? Now in this next clip, a man is filming inside his home just 3 days after losing his brother Chris. And what you're about to witness isn't terrifying, so much as it is deeply unsettling in a quiet, personal way. He's moving through a dimly lit room at night, emotional but calm, speaking directly to his brother's presence as if Chris might actually be listening. At one point, he stops the camera on a child's plastic toy kitchen set sitting against the wall, green and white, completely still. He asks softly, "Is that you, Chris? Do it again. Watch."
That's you, Chris. Do it again. I feel your presence, bro. I feel your presence. Do it again. Holy shitballs.
What did I miss?
The burner on the toy stove lights up with a flashing red glow and emits an electronic sizzling sound. Then, after it goes quiet, he says it again. Do it again, and the toy activates a second time, this time playing a completely different sound sequence. Many people who've experienced grief report moments exactly like this one, where an object associated with family or routine seems to respond at just the right moment. Others think the timing is too precise to dismiss. You decide. This next video was recorded inside a cluttered garage, filmed by a man who had been about to lock up for the night when something stopped him. He claims that just before he started recording, he heard a laugh coming from the back of the garage. Not a voice, not a knock, but a laugh. And he describes it as the most unnerving, weird laugh he's ever heard, seeming to come from somewhere near one of the riding mowers. So instead of leaving, he pulled out his phone and started moving through the space, sweeping the light across the concrete floor, the shelves, the equipment, trying to find any explanation for what he'd just heard. He hadn't found anything yet. Watch.
Alright, so I was just closing this up. Like just locking it up to head out. And I closed the bay. And I was closing this door. I shut the lights off, getting ready to close this door. And heard, I swear, I heard a laugh. And it was the most unnerving, and it was such a weird laugh. It sounded like it was coming from that back mower, like something was sitting on that back mower. I should have left it alone. I don't even know what that was, where it came from, where it went. But I'm not sticking around to find out, so I'm out of here. Screw this. I'm out of here. I am not sticking around.
A sudden, sharp metallic crash explodes off-screen with enough force to make him physically flinch, and when he swings the light toward the source, there's nothing there. No fallen object, no obvious cause, nothing on the floor that wasn't there before. His voice afterward is shaky, and you can hear him repeating that he should have just left, that he doesn't know where the sound came from or where it went. Some think residual energy in cluttered, closed-off spaces can build tension and release it violently, almost like pressure finding an outlet. And the laugh he heard before he even started filming, that detail is hard to shake. What exactly was waiting for him in that garage? This next clip was recorded by a woman at night, sitting in her car, describing something she'd witnessed inside her home. And what makes it so hard to dismiss is the detail she kept coming back to. She explains that on the same day she played Surah al-Baqarah, one of the most protective recitations in Islamic tradition, through the house, she passed by her children's room and noticed one of the toys doing something she couldn't explain. Her daughter's Peppa Pig stuffed toy lying on the bed. Watch.
I put Baqarah on my house. That same day, I am like just passing by my kid's room, and basically I see one of the toys doing this. Now, when I first saw it, I thought, are you really seeing things? Because ain't no way that thing is moving its eyes. There is no way it's moving its eyes. Does that make sense? No, it does not. This is your child's little toy that they always love and sleep with. My daughter loves it. That thing is her life, okay? My daughter and that monkey chump are the same. She loves that little toy. So I'm like, ain't no way. It has to be my eyes. So I'm looking at it. My son comes. He's also looking at it. Both of us are like looking at each other. We're like, oh, I don't know. Let's use the camera. And then we use the camera and we see for our eyes. First time in real life, this toy was moving its eyes. What could it be? What do you guys think it is? Do you think it's jinn?
If you look closely, the toy's plastic eye slowly rotates upward, turning, according to her, to look directly at the camera. She says she thought her eyes were playing tricks on her at first, so she called her son over, and both of them stood there watching it together before deciding to film it. Many in the Muslim community watching this immediately pointed to jinn, supernatural beings described in Islamic tradition as created from smokeless fire, capable of inhabiting objects, invisible to the naked eye, but very much present. Jinn aren't considered innately evil, but certain ones are believed to attach to children's belongings specifically. She ends the clip asking the audience the same question she still can't answer herself. What do you think it is? The following video was recorded by a team of paranormal investigators in Carson City as they explored one of the state's oldest operating hotels, the St. Charles Hotel. This place has a long and unsettling history. Over the years, there have been multiple documented deaths within the building, including reports of self-harm and unexplained incidents that have left certain rooms with a reputation no guest wants to stay in for long. Staff and visitors have shared stories of footsteps in empty hallways, voices behind closed doors, and sudden temperature drops or spikes that seem to come out of nowhere. Some even claim that certain rooms feel overwhelmingly heavy, like stepping into a space where something hasn't fully moved on. So when investigators Patrick and Jason arrived, they already knew they might experience something unusual, but they didn't expect it to happen almost immediately. Watch.
Door.
Whoa.
What did it say? 198, 3 to 13.
Whew. Near logical creature.
313 degrees.
Can you make this box go off some more?
82.
Over here.
What the hell? Dude, there was somebody, 503. Dude, I went back in here and it went to 503. If I should leave, can you make this go to just really, really hot? If I should get out of here, 500. This went to 500. 150. 590. Did you get it?
I'm sure I did.
Do you know? Oh, it's so hot in 224.
172.
Dude, it is
179.
Are you right here? Yeah. No, it's like holding my hand right now. It's like hot right around my hand.
It's super hot right here.
And it's holding there. Something flashed on the SLS too. Can you make that go even higher? Make it. Yeah. It smells like it's on fire. Yeah. 151. Are you on fire?
39.
Is it going back down?
40. 111. 172. 151. Yeah, it hasn't stuck this like this ever.
No.
Inside the room, the temperature begins to fluctuate rapidly, rising and falling in a way that doesn't match normal environmental changes. And as time goes on, the energy in the space feels different, heavier, and more intense. It reaches a point where even they decide they've had enough. But just before they left, they capture something neither of them can explain. Watch closely.
There appears to still be quite a bit of activity inside the St. Charles Hotel, and even some guests that never checked out.
Right after a strange light anomaly appears, something else happens. A white, shadow-like figure can be seen quickly moving and then disappearing into the bathroom. And this is where things start to get really unsettling. People think it could be tied to the building's past, possibly the spirit of someone who once occupied that very room, still lingering, still moving through familiar spaces. But there's another theory that's been circulating, that the light anomaly may have been a kind of manifestation point, a moment where whatever was there gathered enough energy to briefly take form before disappearing again. So what do you think that was? A trick of the light, or something that didn't want to be seen for long? Now in this next video, a man begins documenting a series of events inside his home, and what makes it so unsettling is how gradual everything feels at first, almost like something easing its way in without being noticed. On the very first day, he hears knocking coming from one of the walls, and like most people would, he brushes it off. He assumes it's the house settling, maybe pipes shifting, or temperature changes causing expansion. Nothing that immediately suggests anything unusual. By the second day, the sounds return, but this time, they change. It's no longer knocking, it's scratching. Still, he tries to rationalize it, convincing himself it could be mice in the walls or something small moving through the insulation. Uncomfortable? Yes, but still explainable, at least in his mind. But by the third day, whatever was happening stopped being subtle. Watch this.
Llegó la tercera noche que no sé si escuchan ese ruido, pero estoy solo, ¿me entiendes? Estoy solo en la pieza y estoy solo en mi casa. O sea, no, boludo. No, amigo, no. No, boludo, se acaba de mover. ¿Qué? No, miren, para que vean que abajo no hay nadie, boludo. Posta. O sea, no estoy jodiendo ni nada. O sea, te juro que no hay nadie, estoy yo solo acá.
And this is where things take a different turn entirely. because viewers quickly started pointing out something in the room that he didn't seem to question at first: the empty chair. It's positioned in a way that feels intentional, almost like it's meant to be used, and it's facing a mirror. Now, this might seem like a small detail, but in paranormal discussions, it's often brought up as something you shouldn't overlook. Some believe that leaving an empty chair like that can act as a kind of invitation, especially if it's placed as though someone is expected to sit there. And when that chair is facing a mirror, it adds another layer entirely, because mirrors are often thought of as gateways or amplifiers, reflecting more than just physical images. At this point, he has just one question: how does he stop all these from happening? The following video was recorded by a man who goes by Derry, someone who works at the Valley Plaza Mall, a location that, while still active during the day, has quietly picked up its own share of unsettling rumors after hours. Some people who have worked late shifts there have mentioned hearing footsteps in empty corridors, distant voices when entire sections are closed, and even the faint sound of children playing or laughing long after the mall has cleared out. Most brush it off as echoes traveling through the building, but not everyone is convinced. While walking through the mall, Derry suddenly heard something that made him stop: the sound of kids laughing. The problem is, he was completely alone, so he pulled out his camera. Watch this.
On everything I love, I just heard a group of kids over here laughing. On everything, bro. I just heard a group of kids laughing. Where the hell the kids at? What the fuck? Bro, I know I'm not tripping, bro. I just heard a whole bunch of kids laughing, bro. You hear that shit? What the Bro, I'm in the mall by myself. Where the is it coming from? I know y'all heard that shit. Bro, what the I'm about to get about this bitch. What the is that? What the that? Staring right at me. Right there. My heart beating fast as bro. I'm scared as fuck. There's a person right there in a red shirt right in front of me. Right there, y'all see him. There's a person right there. Bro, what the f? No, he just standing there. Bro, he just standing there, bro. Bro. I'm out of here.
There have been claims that certain locations can hold on to emotional imprints, especially places where large numbers of people gather over time. If that's true, then sounds like this might not be random at all. They might be echoes of moments that never fully left. This next video was recorded inside Willard Library, a place widely known not just for its books, but for something far more unsettling that has kept its reputation alive for decades. The library is said to be haunted by a spirit often referred to as the Grey Lady, a presence that staff and visitors have reported seeing for years. People have described catching glimpses of a woman in grey moving between shelves, hearing footsteps in empty hallways, and even witnessing objects shift when no one is around. Some employees have even claimed that certain areas of the library feel heavier than others, like you're being watched the moment you step in. On this particular day, a librarian was closing up when she suddenly started hearing a strange sound. Listen closely.
I can hear you back there. Why don't you show yourself to me? I know this is your home, and I mean you no disrespect. I'm just curious about you, like why you're here and who you are. My name's Missy. I'd love to know more about you.
After the video was shared, people quickly came forward with their own experiences. One man described how he had only been inside for about 10 minutes, simply printing a document for work, when he suddenly felt someone standing right next to him. He said the feeling was immediate, chills running through his entire body, and when he looked, there was no one there. What made it worse was the reaction of the staff member nearby. She saw him panic and calmly said, "Yeah, that happens all the time." He left immediately and never returned. Stories like this are exactly why many believe the presence in that library isn't just residual, but aware. Some think the so-called Grey Lady may still be wandering the halls, attached to the building for reasons unknown, occasionally making herself known to those who happen to cross her path. Others believe the energy in the building has simply built up over time, creating moments where the line between what's seen and unseen becomes thinner. Now in this next video, a man who is known for collecting statues with unusual and often tragic histories shares something he captured inside his home, and unlike most of his collection, this one seems to react. Over time, he had built a habit of researching the background of each piece he brought in, often finding that many of them were tied to loss, memory, or emotional significance, which is exactly why some people believe objects like these can sometimes carry more than just their physical form. On this particular day, he was simply playing a song when this happened. Watch closely. If you pay attention, the statue appears to move, not dramatically, but just enough to raise questions. Some believe that objects with heavy emotional or historical backgrounds can, in rare cases, become vessels for lingering energy, especially if they were once meaningful to someone who experienced deep attachment or loss. According to this theory, the song may not have been random at all. It could have triggered something familiar, something that resonated with whatever is tied to the object. So what do you think this was? A coincidence? Or something reacting to a memory it never let go of? The following video was recorded by a woman named Alex, who began noticing something unsettling about the house right next to hers, a place that, by all accounts, should have been completely empty. The neighbor who lived there had sadly passed away after a heart attack, and since then, the house had remained untouched. No family moved in, no renovations, no new tenants, just a quiet, closed space that hadn't shown any sign of life for a long time, until Alex started noticing something that didn't add up. For several nights in a row, lights inside the house would suddenly turn on, and then off again, at different times, with no clear pattern. So one night, she decided to record it. Watch this.
It just looked like somebody, or it still looks like someone's looking out the window, but I can't tell. Does that look like a whole person standing there in that window? Like kind of looking out?
It's a refrigerator.
Okay.
I can see the handle of it.
No one.
No.
That's the neighbors.
No. That dark window.
But that's his bedroom. Another bedroom.
That window was open. That window wasn't open.
No.
That window hasn't been open.
No.
You look at that house every day.
No one's been in this house since he passed, other than when they came and redid the floors and everything to get it so people can move in it, but no one's even come and looked at the property. Let me try something. Okay, I haven't done this filter in a minute. Let me see if it works. Hold on. Okay. Let's see. All right, I hate when it does that. Let's see if I can get it. Let me go out to my porch real quick. All right.
Oh.
So it's doing that every time. No, I know.
Leave it alone.
Let me try it one more time. All right, so I just turned the filter off so I can zoom in one more time. Y'all, I don't know what's going on, but it's not normal. He won't let me go over there and investigate any further. There's that open window again, and the light's not even on over there. It's just literally on in his living room, and that's where he always chilled, was in his living room.
I know. But
all right, I'm going to end it here, y'all. I'll update you in a little while if I see anything.
Her first thought was simple. Maybe the lights were on a timer. But when she reached out to the landlord to confirm, the answer made things worse. There was no timer installed. No one had been inside the house. And according to him, no new tenant had moved in. So if that's the case, then who or what is turning the lights on? If the former owner had a strong attachment to that space, some believe it's possible that part of him never truly left, that what Alex is seeing could be a presence continuing its normal patterns, unaware or unwilling to move on. But like always, you be the judge. The following video is about a man who believes he's living in a haunted apartment, and not because of what single incident, but because of a series of small, unsettling experiences that have slowly built up over time. He's mentioned hearing movement in rooms he just left, faint sounds at night when everything should be quiet, and that constant feeling of being watched, especially when the lights are off. One evening, something happened that he couldn't explain away. Watch closely.
Watch.
Tell me I'm not on fucking crack, dude. Hell no. What the f? Dude, I'm out of here.
In the moment the light switches on, you can briefly see what looks like a figure entering the frame, but almost instantly, as the light fully comes back, there's nothing there. No movement, no shadow, no one standing where something clearly just was. There's a theory that whatever it is might be avoiding direct visibility, choosing moments where it can appear just enough to be noticed, but never long enough to be confirmed. And if that's the case, then it wasn't caught by accident. It let itself be seen, And if you think nothing was there, then what walked into frame the moment the light came on? And more importantly, where did it go? Until more updates are shared, this remains a mystery. The following video was recorded by a man who had recently moved into an old house built back in 1912, a property with enough history behind it to already make him uneasy before anything strange even started happening. According to him, the previous tenant had suddenly left without much explanation, and after settling in, he began experiencing odd disturbances throughout the house that pushed him into researching the property's past. During a late-night spirit box session, one word reportedly kept coming through over and over again: fire. After digging deeper, he discovered that the basement of the house had been the site of an accidental fire sometime around 1965, a detail that suddenly made the atmosphere in the home feel a lot heavier. Then one night, while standing in a lit room looking down a dark hallway, he caught this on camera. Watch.
Look, it's my hand.
At the far end of the hallway, a guitar begins to sway on its own, slowly at first, before the movement starts growing stronger. Skeptics pointed toward possible drafts or airflow as the most logical explanation, but what unsettled viewers was how the motion seemed to build, almost like something unseen kept interacting with it. Paranormal theories surrounding old homes often connect fires to lingering energy, especially when the event was sudden or traumatic. Some believe places marked by tragedy can hold on to fragments of that moment for decades, replaying themselves through unexplained sounds, movement, or disturbances tied to certain parts of the house. And considering the repeated mention of fire during the spirit box session, many viewers think whatever is in that hallway may be connected to what happened in the basement all those years ago. Whatever started the movement, he never found the source. In this next clip, someone is walking through a property called the Green Manor, an old house with narrow winding staircases, dark reddish walls, a library with built-in shelves, and an upstairs room lined with antique dolls. And from the moment they point the camera at a teal wooden door in the hallway, something feels off. The door is slightly ajar, and the vintage oval doorknob on its brass backplate just sits there, still and quiet, the way doorknobs are supposed to. But then it starts to move. Watch. The knob jiggles, turns clockwise, and a sharp metallic click rings out as the latch fully disengages. and the door swings open on its own. Nobody's on the other side. The person filming then pushes through, climbs the creaking staircase, and when they reach the top, they pan into a side room where a full church pew is lined end to end with at least a dozen porcelain dolls just sitting there, staring. Some people who've seen this footage think the doorknob moment is consistent with what's sometimes called a residual haunting, the idea that a location can essentially record repeated actions, like opening a door, and replay them without any conscious intent behind them. Others think something at the Green Manor is far more aware than that, pointing to the way the latch fully releases, a deliberate mechanical sequence, not just a rattle. Whether it's residual energy or something with intention, you be the judge. In this next clip, a family arrives at what looks like a spacious hotel suite. A large, well-lit room with high vaulted ceilings, a stone fireplace, a loft area, and a balcony with plenty of natural light coming through. Nothing about the space looks threatening, but the moment they reach the doorway of room 24, something happens that none of them were prepared for. Watch.
Come on, Mama.
Oh, she don't like this one. Wasn't expecting that. Dang, Big Mama. Is there something in here? We rebuke it, Kai Kai. We rebuke it. She said, Yeah. Yeah. It's shit on the toilet.
That's where you and Dad sleeping?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
There's nothing.
What?
Close it. I'll pull out bed. This is so nice.
You welcome. I hope y'all like it. I hope y'all got some energy because we're gonna be up all night.
She immediately starts screaming, no, crying loudly, and pulling away from the room, and she doesn't stop for the entire clip. What makes this so hard to dismiss is that the girl didn't calm down. There's a belief, fairly common in paranormal communities, that young children, especially toddlers, are far more sensitive to presence than adults, because they haven't yet learned to rationalize away what they're feeling. You decide what that little girl was sensing at that doorway. Now in this next clip, a man is out in his shed during the day working on tools when he notices something that stops him cold. A sound coming from a dark attic space above a storage closet he says he's never once been up into. He grabs his phone and starts filming himself, panning the camera around the cluttered shed before pulling open a narrow closet door to show what's inside. Listen closely.
Me or not, I don't care, but listen to this. I'm out in the shed working on tools. Listen. Dude, I swear to God, there's something up in this attic, man. I'm not getting up in here and shit. Do you hear that? Dude, oh my God, bro. Oh my God, man. There's something in this neighborhood, dude. Oh my God. Dude, I don't know what to do in a situation like this. Do you hear this shit, man? This thing was built before I bought this house, man. I've never gone up here one time. What the fuck was that, man? There's stuff left from the previous owner. Oh. Oh my god, dude. Oh.
If you listen closely, you'll hear a baby crying, and it happens not once but multiple times, getting clearer and closer each time. The man's reactions are hard to fake. He slams the door, shouts, opens it again, keeps asking if you can hear it too. Then, when he finally works up the nerve to climb the ladder and hold the camera up into that dark space, the last sound he catches, right before the camera drops, is a clean, unmistakable cry of a baby coming from somewhere deep in that darkness. Some viewers think he has squatters in there, which, honestly, isn't impossible. Whatever was up there, he didn't stick around long enough to find out. So what do you think was making that sound? Now in this next clip, a paranormal investigator from Lakeshore Paranormal is in the basement of an old property at night, standing beneath a single bare bulb that cuts harsh shadows across the cinder block walls and exposed ceiling joists. He's got a spirit box scanning in one hand and what appears to be a detection device in the other, the constant static of the scanner cycling through frequencies filling the silence around him. He glances around the space, listening, waiting. Watch.
Not gonna leave until you give me a sign.
Movement back there. Shadow. Shadow like came out from the where the heater is and went back the other way. I got it on video. You can see it. It was short. It was just like a shadow that came out from there.
Are you down here?
A shadow moved from right to left. What immediately sparked debate online was the way the figure seemed to move with shape and direction, not like a flicker of light or camera distortion, but like something physically crossing. Some viewers argued it could simply be a reflection caused by someone walking past a nearby window, but according to the investigators, they were completely alone on the property that night, with no one else inside or outside the building during the investigation. So if no one else was on that property that night, then what exactly walked behind him? Now in this next clip, someone is moving through a pitch-black house in the middle of the night, using nothing but a flashlight to cut through the darkness ahead of him. According to him, before he even started recording, he had already been hearing strange noises somewhere deeper inside the house, sounds unusual enough that he decided to grab his camera and trace where they were coming from. At first, he expected to find something simple, maybe a window left open, or an animal moving around inside the walls. But instead, he found this. Watch.
Right. Second date. It's been okay so far, but what? This is what I mean. Crazy shit. Is it like hello? Oh my! Oh shit! Phone's upstairs. Oh my! I couldn't. I'm leaving lights on. Look at this. I swear to right. Oh shit. Right. I need to go.
The lights suddenly begin flickering violently, throwing unstable flashes across the hallway, and just as he turns toward the staircase, something can be seen moving on the stairs, a dark shape shifting in the shadows before disappearing again. Some viewers believe the flickering lights could point toward electrical issues in an older property, but others focused entirely on the figure near the staircase, especially because in many old traditions, spirits or entities were said to linger near staircases because they symbolized movement between worlds, especially in darkened homes where visibility is limited and the human mind struggles to fully process shapes in shadow. So what do you think was waiting at the top of those stairs? The following video was recorded inside a home that's over 100 years old, using an old camera set up by a young man who was home alone and had noticed something he couldn't explain. Every time he left the room to vacuum, he'd come back and find the same bifold closet door standing wide open. No one else in the house, no obvious draft, nothing to account for it. So instead of just closing it again and moving on, he propped the camera on the floor, pointed it at the door, and went back to his vacuuming. The clip is silent, and that silence is part of what makes it so unsettling. Watch. The right panel of that bifold door begins to move, slowly, steadily, swinging open at a pace that feels almost deliberate, folding back until the closet is fully exposed. No one enters the frame, there's no rush of air, no person, no visible string or mechanism. If you watch the door's movement carefully, you'll notice it doesn't jerk or stutter the way a draft might cause. It moves with a kind of even, unhurried intention that's harder to dismiss. Some viewers familiar with residual haunting theory think older homes can develop patterns of repeated activity tied to whatever energy accumulated there over decades. But you be the judge. Now in this next clip, a man had been sitting alone at his kitchen table, reading from the Bible, not casually, but deliberately, the way someone does when they're trying to hold something back. He had a rosary laid out in front of him, a crucifix, and a small bottle of holy water. He says he picks up regularly from his local Catholic church. He mentions to the camera that he isn't feeling well, and before he starts reading, he anoints his forehead with the holy water and makes the sign of the cross. There's a weight to how he's going through these steps. Like a ritual, he's performed enough times that it's become routine rather than ceremonial. He settles in and begins reading aloud from Psalms 37, verses 3 through 11, scripture about trust, about dwelling safely, about what faith is supposed to protect you from. But midway through the reading, something happened. Watch.
Inherit the earth. For yet a little while, and the wicked should be no more. Indeed, you will. Gosh! Holy. Bro. That just closed. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Any demon in my office, evacuate now. Look. That's my magic hat. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And my attic is closed. See? Huh. And it literally dropped my hat. That is crazy. You see, guys? This is what I gotta go through daily. Like literally, daily I gotta go through this crap. I'm so fed up with it.
The door in the background slams shut with a sharp, violent bang. What's harder to dismiss is what he finds on the other side. A baseball cap lying face down on the floor just inside the doorway, which he claims was not there before. He picks it up, shows the camera the front, and says the entity dropped it. He calls his attic door out specifically, showing it secured with multiple slide locks, as if that detail is meant to explain something he doesn't want to say out loud. He ends the clip looking straight into the camera, exhausted, and says this is what he goes through daily. For those familiar with spiritual warfare theology, a violent physical reaction during scripture reading is considered significant. It's interpreted not as random haunting activity, but as direct interference, a presence responding to being named. So what was in that room with him? The following clips were recorded by a man named Johnny, who has been dealing with escalating paranormal activity inside his home, alongside his wife Cecilia and their children. And what started as something unsettling quickly became one of the most terrifying documented cases of vocal mimicry caught on camera. The first clip begins at night, with Johnny in a clear state of panic, moving fast through the house before rushing to unlock the front door with his keys. Watch.
¿Qué quieres? ¿Qué escuchas? ¿Qué quieres? No te voy a abrir. No te voy a abrir. Calma, niña. Tranquila, mami. No te voy a abrir. Vete. Oye, no manches, ¿viste? Vete. Esto es impresionante. Lárgate, lárgate de aquí. No te voy a abrir, lárgate. Lárgate. Tú no perteneces aquí. Vete.
What makes this clip so deeply unsettling isn't just the voice, it's the fact that Cecilia, Johnny's actual wife, is already standing inside the house holding their daughter when that same voice, her voice, begins pleading from behind the curtain, begging Johnny to open the door. He refuses, and when the voice shifts, dropping from a convincing human imitation into a deep, guttural, monstrous groan after he commands it to leave, that transformation is what catches people. Many believe this is a textbook example of what various Latin American and indigenous traditions describe as a nagual, or a shape-shifting spirit, an entity capable of borrowing a person's voice, their face, even their entire identity, specifically to gain access to a home or family. Others point to a more modern framework, the doppelganger phenomenon, where a malevolent double of a living person is believed to appear as a warning or an omen. Skeptics argue the voice could be a neighbor or someone outside pulling a prank, but that explanation doesn't hold up well against the vocal transformation at the end. That sound isn't something a person does. The activity didn't stop there. Later that same night, the family barricaded themselves in the children's bedroom, and what Cecilia told Johnny in the chaos tells you everything. It's getting stronger every time. Listen closely.
No manches, Johnny. Otra vez eso, papi.
Sí.
Tranquila, mami, tranquila, no pasa nada.
Pero es que es mi voz.
Tranquila, tranquila, no es nada. No tengan miedo, porque si no, eso se alimenta de nosotros, ¿eh? No tengan miedo.
Papá, ¿pero quién es?
Tranquila, mami, tranquila, ven. No pasa nada.
Sí, tranquilos, sí.
Escucha, o sea.
No, sí está muy cañón, Cecilia.
Sí, es que ya cada vez está más fuerte esto. ¿Eh? Ya, bebé, ya. Tranquila.
A su máquina, no más.
Tranquila, mi amor. Ya, ¿qué hacemos?
A su máquina, no manches.
Ya, mi bebé, ya. Sí, mi amor, te da miedo,
Sí.
miedo. Sí, mi vida, te da miedito.
Tranquilos, no tengan miedo. No manches, tranquilos.
No, mami, no pasa nada, tranquila.
No manches, güey.
Espérense aquí, tranquilos.
No mames, güey.
Sí,
tranquilos.
Tranquilo, neto, estás temblando,
A su
tranquilo.
máquina, no manches, güey. A la máquina.
Yo creo que me voy con mi mamá yo.
Sí, hay que irnos.
The banging that erupts on that door is violent. Not a knock, not a rattle, but something trying to break through, and then comes the voice, low and demonic, screaming for them to open up. Young Ernesto is shaking, but Johnny keeps telling the children not to be afraid, because whatever this is, he believes it feeds on that fear, which suggests this family has been living with this long enough to understand its behavior. That awareness alone is chilling. The entity had already mimicked Johnny's wife outside the house, then mimicked one of the children's voices, and now it's at the bedroom door, with a sound that no longer pretends to be human at all, a clear escalation from deception to aggression. Some who've studied accounts like this believe the mimicry phase is a probing tactic, testing which voice will get the door opened, and when that fails, the mask comes off entirely. Cecilia says she needs to call her mother, and given what comes next, that instinct seems right. This is a separate recording from the same home, captured on a security camera on the night of January 3rd of 2026, and it was filmed silently, with no audio. Watch.
Amigos, quiero que vean este clip de la cámara de seguridad que está de aquel lado, allá en la esquina. Este lo descargué el 3 de enero del 2026 a las 8:32 de la noche. Fue grabado, si no me estoy equivocando, el 2 porque yo siempre un día antes, un día después, mejor dicho, reviso las grabaciones de un día antes. Y pues bueno, han de haber sido del 2 de enero y la hora sí me acuerdo claramente que fue a las 3 de la madrugada. Quiero que lo vean ustedes bien. Voy a tener el sonido bajo porque de hecho se escucha una interferencia bastante fuerte, pero denme ustedes su opinión, obsérvenlo bien a detalle todo y pues ustedes me dicen, ¿no?
The night vision footage shows a bedroom, a person lying still in the bed, a white rocking chair in the center of the room, and standing completely motionless in the dark corner behind that chair. A tall, slender figure with long dark hair and a pale, indistinct face. Then the chair begins to rock on its own, slow and rhythmic, while the figure stays where it was. The figure. Most paranormal explanations for a rocking chair focus on presence and energy, the idea that something unseen is sitting there, occupying a space. But this figure is visible. It's standing right there, and it still isn't the one causing the movement. Some viewers think the figure is a shadow person, a term used in paranormal communities to describe dark, humanoid forms often reported standing in corners or doorways, most commonly at night. Others, given the long hair and pale face, gravitate toward a different kind of presence entirely, one tied to the same family of entities described in Latin American folklore as La Llorona, or a similar wandering spirit drawn to homes with children. The digital distortion that pulses across the screen as the chair rocks has divided people too. Some call it interference caused by paranormal energy. Others call it evidence of editing. What you can't argue away as easily is the combination, a figure that was already there before the chair moved, watching, waiting, while the family slept. And when you place that footage alongside what happened with the voice mimicry and the violence at the bedroom door, the picture that forms is of something that's been in this house for a long time, patient, deliberate, and not done yet. Now in this next clip, a group of men are reviewing security camera footage late at night, the kind of casual walkthrough where you're mostly expecting to find nothing. The camera they're reviewing is in black and white night vision, pointed at the exterior of a building with exposed wooden rafters running along the top. At first, the footage looks completely clean. One of them says, "There's nothing, it's safe, right?" Calm, almost bored. They pan across the frame looking for anything unusual, scanning from the walls up toward the roof structure. Then someone spots something tucked near a beam. Watch.
Nggak ada ya, aman ya. Di sini aman, oke? Kita coba lihat ke atas sebelum atas sebelah sananya. Atas mana? Atas tengah ini.
Bebas. Terserah kalian guys, mau pilih
yang mana? Tuh kan nggak ada.
Itu bro, stiker ya.
Ntar kita zoom.
Stiker itu.
Ini stiker atau apa sih? Ini mah manusia.
Stiker matamu.
Manusia jurik. Susulin jangan. Gerak goblok.
What the zoom reveals is a dark humanoid head with two large, perfectly round, glowing white eyes staring directly at the camera from behind a wooden beam, completely motionless. Then it retracts and vanishes. One of the men says, "Manusia jurig," which in Indonesian translates roughly to a human ghost or demon. Some viewers think those eyes rule out anything living, pointing to the unnatural glow and the stillness before it pulled back. Others aren't so sure, but whatever it was, it knew it had been seen. Now in this next clip, a woman is alone in a massive stone cathedral in Norway at 2:30 in the morning, sitting at a large pipe organ and filming herself practicing, something she says she does regularly and usually without fear. But tonight is different. Shortly after she starts recording, she catches something on audio that stops her cold. Watch.
Guys, I love you all. Please don't do this in the middle of the night. It's really scary. It's 2:30 in the morning and someone's trying to get in, and it is... I know they can't get in, but it is still scary. I basically just sit here in silence until I feel like they've probably gone. But yeah.
First, 3 muffled thuds echo through the empty nave, distant, rhythmic, like someone knocking on a heavy door deep inside the building. Then, less than 30 seconds later, the sounds escalate dramatically. A violent metallic rattling followed by 3 loud, forceful bangs, as if something is throwing itself against the door from the other side. What makes this harder to dismiss is the setting itself. Norway's Gothic cathedrals carry centuries of history, and Akershus Fortress in Oslo is known for reports of whispers and unexplained sounds moving through its stone corridors at night. Whether whatever was outside that door was human or something else entirely, she never found out. You decide. The following video was recorded by a woman who's been dealing with escalating paranormal activity for some time, and by the time she filmed this, she was clearly at her breaking point. She's standing outside an old, dark house at dusk, the kind of low light that makes everything feel heavier than it should, with a stretch of bare trees and dead leaves just behind her. According to her own account, she'd been terrified every single night, and someone had given her a specific piece of advice. Return the camera she found back to the exact spot in the woods where she discovered it. She's not confident it'll work. She admits she doesn't have anything else to try. Watch.
So I've been getting a lot of recommendations to bring the camera back, right back to where I found it. Roughly right over there. And I think that's a good idea, I really do, but I'm just not sure if it's gonna work. I'm not sure if it's gonna make any of this stop. but honestly, it's worth a shot. I don't really have anything else to try. I'm getting scared still every single night, and I just don't know what to do, honestly. So I'm really hoping that this is the thing that's really gonna make it stop. I don't really know.
While she was talking, the curtain moved, like someone was watching her. What makes her account so unsettling isn't just the fear on her face, it's the implication underneath it all. She found a camera somewhere in those woods, and ever since, something has been happening to her at night. Some viewers think the returned object theory she's following aligns with a belief found in various folk traditions that certain objects can act as anchors for a presence, binding it to whoever carries the object away from its original location. The next day, she decided to check inside the old house to see if anyone was there. Watch. If you look closely, you see someone move past the window. It's faint, quick, and easy to miss, which is exactly the kind of thing that gets harder to dismiss the more you re-watch it. Some think it's a camera artifact. Others think it's something responding to her presence there. And honestly, either answer raises its own question. This next video was recorded by a man alone in his home at nighttime, after he heard the sound of glass breaking somewhere below him, a sound that pulled him out of whatever he was doing and sent him straight toward the basement with a night vision camera in hand. The hallway he moves through is cluttered and narrow, stacked with boxes and picture frames, the kind of space that already feels uneasy before anything happens. Watch.
Heard glass break. There's nothing down there but my windows to break. I'm leaving the house, man. You're done. Catch me if you can. I'm leaving, man. Have it out now. What the do you want?
What you hear at the moment he shouts his taunt is immediate, a loud, percussive bang that responds almost like an answer. Seconds later, a second crash, louder, more violent, sends him screaming, and the camera drops completely, tumbling across the floor and landing face up. It's the final still frame that stops most viewers cold, a grainy, brightened image of a wall corner where a distinct, dark, humanoid shadow figure is standing. Some viewers immediately pointed to poltergeist activity, a term used to describe a force that interacts physically with its environment, not just appearing, but throwing, breaking, responding. Others think the escalating pattern, auditory first, then physical contact, mirrors what parapsychologists describe as an intelligent haunting, something that doesn't just make noise but reacts directly to provocation. He taunted it, it answered, and I honestly can't think of a more unsettling question to sit with than this. What exactly answered back? The following video was recorded in the Haunted Hobart, a hotel in Hobart, Australia, with a reputation for paranormal activity. And in October of 2021, a paranormal investigation team set up security cameras inside the building overnight, hoping to capture something they couldn't explain. What they got was 3 separate incidents, all caught on silent CCTV footage, all happening in the early morning hours when the building was completely empty. The man reviewing the footage describes himself as a skeptical person, which makes his reaction to what the cameras caught all the more worth paying attention to. The first 2 events happen at 5:53 a.m. No staff, no guests, nobody in the building. Watch.
A movement right there, and then it proceeds to go like up the stairs, but it could be someone, you know, just walking on the outside on our front porch right there, which is logically what it is, but it almost seems that the camera's kind of bending, and it bends the staircase a little bit, and then right after it goes to the top of the stairs, the hat seems to jump up before it falls off onto the ground and kind of rolls around. It's very weird. It's something I can't explain. Now, even weirder than that is the next day, that same woman came back in, and she was wearing the same exact clothes, and which is fine. I'm not judging. Maybe she had some, you know, had a fun night. Maybe got it lucky. You know, she could have stayed somewhere close to here. You know, or maybe she lives there. Who knows? But she. How wacky this is. Like, what is she doing? She seems to be walking weird. And then she's like peeping back in. Like, how long was she out on the porch just like staring in after the video cuts off? It's wild. It was a bizarre thing. I don't know what's up with that lady, but more importantly, I don't know what's up with that hat. That's the most evidence I've seen of something, and I mean, I saw it with my own eyes. It was right in front of me as I'm talking to this woman. It was very weird. I can't explain it. Make up your own mind on what you think, and let me know. Thanks for watching.
From 2 separate camera angles focused on the staircase near the entrance area, a black hat resting on the stair railing suddenly falls to the floor without anyone near it. Moments before the movement, the footage appears to capture something unusual near the front entrance, a faint distortion near the doorway, and what some viewers believe looks like movement crossing near the staircase itself. What makes the clip unsettling is not just the hat falling, but the sequence leading up to it. Investigators reviewing the footage pointed out that the distortion appears seconds before the object moves, almost as if something invisible passed through the area first. But according to the team, the strangest part came the next day. The woman connected to the hat incident reportedly returned to the hotel wearing the exact same clothes she had on the previous night. Staff members later claimed her behavior immediately stood out. For several minutes, she allegedly stood staring silently at a wall without reacting to anyone around her. She then began making bizarre comments to both employees and customers, including repeatedly talking about eating dog food before wandering through the building acting disoriented and suspicious. Paranormal researchers sometimes associate this kind of behavior with locations believed to have lingering spiritual activity, especially in places where repeated reports of apparitions, distortions, or object movement have already been documented. In many cases, investigators describe witnesses becoming unusually fixated, detached, or emotionally altered after experiencing unexplained events inside allegedly haunted environments. Whether the woman's behavior was connected to what the cameras captured remains unknown, but for many viewers, the combination of the distortion near the staircase, the unexplained movement of the hat, and the woman returning the following day behaving strangely has made this one of the more unsettling pieces of footage connected to haunted Hobart. The following clips were both captured by security cameras inside what appears to be the same home, both in the early morning hours, and both involve something that seems to be paying very close attention to a sleeping baby. In the first clip, the timestamp reads, just after 1:30 in the morning on March 25th of 2023. The footage is in grayscale night vision, filmed from a high corner angle looking down at a bedroom. A large bed sits in the center of the frame, and to its left, a baby's crib with a small form tucked inside. The room is still. The door to the left of the crib is slightly ajar, and for the first 20 seconds or so, nothing moves. Then it got worse. Watch. The bedroom door slowly begins to move on its own, opening wider before shifting back again, despite no one appearing anywhere near it. But according to the family, this wasn't the only incident. In a second clip, recorded on a separate night in April of 2019, at approximately 5:20 in the morning, another camera positioned directly above a bassinet captures something else entirely. Watch carefully. A teddy bear placed near the baby begins to move on its own. The motion is slow and deliberate, with the toy shifting position while nothing else in the frame appears disturbed. No hands enter the shot. No one approaches the crib. The room remains otherwise completely still. What unsettles many viewers is the pattern between the two recordings. In both clips, the activity centers around the child's sleeping area, almost as if whatever is present is drawn toward the crib itself. Some paranormal researchers point to old stories involving watchers, entities said to linger silently near sleeping children, often first noticed through subtle environmental changes like moving doors, shifting objects, or unexplained sounds during the early hours of the morning. Whether the two incidents are connected is impossible to know. But for many viewers, the idea that both cameras captured unexplained activity centered around the same baby is what makes the footage difficult to forget. In this next clip, a man claims he had finally decided to leave his house after days of experiencing what he described as unbearable activity inside the home. Hoping to get away from whatever had been disturbing him, he temporarily stayed somewhere else. But according to him, the activity didn't stop when he left. It followed him. Watch closely.
Algo está sonando en el cuarto. Creo que es la cama.
While filming inside the room, the man lifts the comforter slightly and points the camera toward the space beneath the bed. For a brief moment, a pair of pale, bare feet can be seen. Skeptics argue that someone could simply have been hiding underneath, a child, a friend, or someone playing a prank. But according to the man filming, when he looked again moments later, there was no one there. What unsettled many viewers even more was the folklore some people connected to the footage afterward. In parts of Latin American paranormal tradition, there are stories of childlike entities said to appear inside homes, often partially hidden beneath beds, in corners, or just outside direct view. Some compared the figure to legends surrounding La Niña de las Sombras, translated loosely as the Shadow Girl, a spirit described in online folklore as appearing silently inside domestic spaces before gradually becoming more aggressive over time. Others connected it to stories associated with La Llorona, where sightings involving children or crying voices are believed to signal a lingering supernatural presence inside the home. But according to the man, the encounter didn't end there. After several more days of disturbances, he decided to place a Bible near the exact spot where he claimed he first saw the feet. Then, during the early hours of the morning, he says he heard a voice telling him to look underneath it, so he started recording again. The same pale feet and lower legs appear beneath the object once more. But this time, the footage captures something else alongside it, a whisper repeating a single word in Spanish, ayuda, which means help. What makes the clip especially disturbing to some viewers is the implication behind the voice. In many paranormal traditions, entities that imitate children are often described as deceptive, using cries for help or weak voices to draw attention and lower fear before escalating activity further. We can only hope that's not the case here. The following clips were recorded inside what appears to be an abandoned commercial space, a former retail unit with unfinished walls, exposed ductwork, and the kind of industrial silence that makes every small sound feel wrong. The man filming had been exploring the location and decided to leave a static camera running in one of the darker rooms, stepping back to let it record on its own. For a stretch, nothing happens, just a faint ambient hum and the stillness of an empty space. Then it got worse. Watch. What you just heard wasn't a single knock or a creak. It was a violent, rapid barrage of metallic crashes and bangs, like heavy metal racks or poles being hurled against a wall in quick succession, all with no visible source anywhere in the frame. The room was empty. No one was there. When he goes back in with a flashlight to investigate, He finds the ceiling torn open near an access hatch, damaged in a way that raises more questions than it answers. Some believe what was captured is consistent with poltergeist-type activity, a term used to describe disturbances characterized not by visual apparitions, but by aggressive, physical, or auditory force. Sounds and movement without an obvious agent. The second clip picks up in a similarly dark, confined space. This time a cluttered crawl space or attic area, accessed through a panel in a low ceiling. Watch. If you look closely, something like a human hand is still for a moment before suddenly moving. The reaction from viewers was immediate. Some believe there may have been a person trapped somewhere inside the space. Others think the movement looked unnatural, especially given how motionless the hand remained beforehand. What makes the clip disturbing is the uncertainty. The camera never stays long enough to reveal what the hand is attached to, or whether something was actually hiding deeper inside the crawl space the entire time.